Chosen one, quiet the noise in your mind for just a second. I know exactly what you were thinking when you sat in isolation recently, staring at the screen of your bank app, terrified of the future because you are running on empty. You are carrying the financial and emotional weight of everyone around you, playing the strong pillar, while secretly wondering if the universe has skipped over your timeline. You smile to keep the peace, but your soul is exhausted from just surviving. The Holy Spirit intercepted your algorithm today to validate your exact intuition. You are not crazy for feeling that a massive shift is hovering over you. A literal transfer order has just been signed in the heavenly courts. Your hardest, most brutal secret test is officially over. God is stepping in to completely fund your life from now on. Do not move a muscle. Just let your spirit feel the heavy burden lifting off your chest right now. Mentally release the survival mode you have been trapped in. Mentally accept this divine provision and comment 777 to spiritually sign this contract. Before I explain how this supernatural transfer is going to happen, I need you to commit your absolute focus to this message all the way to the very last second. Do not let any distractions steal this from you. By the time this video ends, you will not just walk away with temporary inspiration. You are going to receive the exact framework to position your mind. For this incoming wealth, you will learn the 3 specific traps the enemy is actively setting to steal it back. And we will close with a powerful sealing declaration that will literally activate this transition in your bloodline. If you leave early, you will have the promise of provision, but zero armor to protect it. So stay with me. If your spirit feels a sudden rush of heat hearing this, subscribe right now to align with the thousands of awakened souls breaking generational curses. Like this video to physically register your faith. Now, let us talk about the crushing exhaustion you have been hiding. I see the tension you carry in your jaw and your shoulders. I know about the silent panic that hits you at 3 in the morning when the house is completely quiet and your mind starts running the numbers. You calculate the debts, the incoming bills, the cost of simply living, and you realize the math simply does not add up. And the hardest part is that you cannot tell a single soul. You are the strong one. You are the one people call when their lives are falling apart. You are the emotional paramedic for your entire family. But when you are the one bleeding, you sit in silence because you refuse to be a burden to anyone else. You have built a massive fortress of independence, convincing yourself that you must earn every single breath, every single dollar, and every single ounce of peace through sheer willpower and endless hustle. But I am here to tell you that your fierce independence has become your spiritual prison. Heaven has been watching you operate in this brutal survival mode. You thought your prolonged struggle was a sign that God was ignoring you or punishing you, but it was an audit, a grueling, silent test of your integrity in the absolute dark. The divine realm needed to see what you would do when you had nothing left. Would you compromise your character for quick money? Would you become bitter and toxic toward the people around you? Would you curse the heaven that seemed to be completely silent? You did none of those things. You kept showing up. You kept being kind to people who had absolutely nothing to give you in return. You passed the test, and because you passed, the season of you being the sole provider for your own life is completely terminated. God is stepping in as your primary financier. I need to show you something profound about how this actually works. Most people quote Philippians chapter 4, verse 19, saying, "My God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory." You have heard it a million times. It sounds like a nice, comforting statement, as if God will just barely meet your basic requirements so you do not starve. But that is because the English translation completely misses the aggressive nature of the original Greek text. The word used for supply is the Greek word plerou. Plerou does not mean to just give you enough to get by. It means to stuff something until it is overflowing, to cram a space so full that it physically cannot hold another drop, to completely level up an empty vessel until it violently spills over the edges. When God says he will pleru your needs, he is not saying he will cover your minimum payment. He is saying he is about to overfund your life so aggressively that your current capacity will not be able to contain it. He is going to stuff your timeline with so much favor, so much provision, and so many unexpected open doors that your survival mindset will be forced to break entirely. But there is a major catch. You cannot receive a pleru level of overflow if you are standing in a posture of extreme defense. We need to shift your spiritual alignment right now, using a protocol I call the provision posture. Right now, your entire being is tightly clenched. You are so used to fighting for every scrap that your hands are balled into tight fists. You cannot receive a divine gift with a closed fist. The first step of the provision posture is that you have to completely stop lying about your capacity. When people who are sent by God ask how you are doing, you must stop saying you are fine when you are secretly drowning. Your pride is literally blocking the angels dispatched to help you. God often answers prayers through the hands of other people, but if you keep projecting this flawless image of independence, you are putting a heavy padlock on the door God is trying to open for you. In your mind right now, I want you to lower your spiritual shields. Visualize yourself standing in an open field, unbuckling a massive, heavy backpack of financial responsibilities and letting it drop onto the ground. Take a mental step away from it. You are no longer the source of your own survival. Let me prove to you how God's provision actually operates when you let go of your need to control it. Look at the prophet Elijah in 1 Kings chapter 17. God sent him to hide by a brook, and ravens brought him bread and meat. But then the brook dried up because there was a severe famine in the land. God did not miraculously make the brook flow again. He did not send a wealthy king or a rich merchant to rescue Elijah. Instead, God sent him to a starving widow who was gathering a few sticks to cook her final meal before she and her son died. Think about how completely illogical that is to the human mind. God sent a man needing massive provision to a woman who was preparing to starve to death. Why would the Creator do that? Because divine provision rarely comes from the logical, comfortable, wealthy sources you expect. It comes wrapped in highly unusual packages during the most severe droughts, so that when the sudden breakthrough happens, you know without a shadow of a doubt that it was the hand of the Creator and not your own clever hustle. You have been looking for provision to come from your current job, your struggling business, or the unpredictable economy. But God is about to fund your life through avenues that make zero mathematical sense. He is going to use dry brooks and empty jars to pour out an ocean of wealth over your life. You are probably wondering, if all of this is true, why has the wait been so incredibly agonizing? Why has the cycle of lack kept repeating itself month after tedious month? But here is what nobody is telling you. The reason this financial drought kept repeating goes much deeper than the economy, your job, or your bad luck. It is happening inside your own brain waves. You have been fighting a massive frequency warfare without even knowing it. And what I am about to show you in the next part will completely change how you receive everything from tomorrow. Before we completely decode this frequency warfare, I need you to look at the battlefield you just walked out of. For months, and maybe even years, you have been trapped in a season of intense scarcity that made absolutely no logical sense. You watched doors slam shut right as you were about to cross the threshold. You watched people with half your talent and zero integrity prosper while you had to count every single penny just to survive the week. And through all of that brutal silence, you kept your faith. You learned how to stretch a dollar. You learned how to fast when there was no food anyway. You learned how to budget your absolute lack and still find a way to be generous to others. You became a master of enduring poverty without losing your mind. So let me officially validate your struggle. Congratulations. You passed the endurance test. You proved you can survive the desert. But here is what I have not told you yet. And this truth is going to completely shatter how you view your entire journey. Enduring the poverty was not the real test. Patience was the cover story. That is what you thought was being tested. That is what it looked like on the surface. But while you were entirely focused on surviving the lack, God was actually testing something far more dangerous. He was testing your incorruptibility. See, it is very easy to have integrity when your bank account is full, but the Creator needed to know what you would do when you were absolutely desperate. When the pressure was crushing your chest and you had zero earthly options left, did you sell your soul? Did you take that shady shortcut that would have compromised your spirit? Did you manipulate people to get ahead? Did you abandon your divine calling just to make some quick cash? No. You walked away from opportunities that looked like lifelines because you knew they were spiritually contaminated. You chose to stay pure in the absolute dark. You passed a test of integrity that most people completely fail. And because you proved you cannot be bought, heaven has authorized your massive upgrade. But this brings us to the ultimate question. If you passed the test, why is the provision not in your hands yet? Why does the struggle still feel so heavy today? This is where the frequency warfare begins. Your brain is essentially a biological radio receiver. When you spent years operating in extreme financial trauma, constantly worrying about the next bill, your brain became biologically locked into what scientists call the beta frequency. Beta is the frequency of high alert, stress, and pure survival. When you are stuck in beta, your mind is filled with static, brain fog, and relentless anxiety. Now, here is the spiritual reality. God does not broadcast divine blueprints, million-dollar ideas, or supernatural provision on the frequency of panic. The Creator broadcasts on the theta frequency. Theta is the state of deep peace, divine intuition, and absolute genius. Right now, God is literally transmitting the exact steps for your financial liberation, but your biological radio is tuned to the wrong station. You cannot download a theta blessing while your brain is trapped in a beta panic. For centuries, ancient mystics spent decades isolated in caves, meditating for hours every single day just to force their minds into this sacred theta state. But you do not have decades to wait, and you do not have hours to meditate while trying to manage your current life. This is where science has finally caught up to ancient spiritual wisdom. Neuroscientists, including researchers who have worked with NASA, have discovered that you can actually use specific sound wave technology to entrain your brain, gently forcing your neural pathways out of the beta survival mode and directly into the divine theta frequency. There is a sacred audio technology, a 7-minute frequency tool designed specifically to recalibrate your brainwaves. It does not require years of practice. It does not require any strenuous effort. It is simply a biological key that unlocks a spiritual door. If your spirit is suddenly confirming that this frequency mismatch is the exact reason you have felt so stuck, I invite you to explore this further. I have placed a resource explaining this exact NASA-backed audio technology in the pinned comment below. For those of you who know your neural pathways need to be completely reset to receive what is coming, the information is waiting for you there. Do not force anything, but if you feel a profound intuition leading you to finally align your brainwaves with the frequency of heavenly provision, check the pinned comment after this video. It is a vital piece of spiritual equipment for the season you are entering right now. Because once your frequency shifts and that heavy brain fog lifts, the ideas will start flowing. The provision will start manifesting. And that is when you are going to hit a wall that you never saw coming. I need to speak to the secret terror hiding in your chest right now. You have been praying for financial breakthrough for years, but the uncomfortable truth is, a deep part of you is actually terrified of becoming wealthy. In your mind right now, I want you to isolate that fear. Look at it. You are afraid because you have seen what money does to people. You have watched wealth turn people you trusted into arrogant, toxic, unrecognizable monsters. You have been abused by people who used their financial power to control you. And there is a quiet, terrified whisper in your soul saying, "What if the money changes me? What if I become just like them? What if this blessing makes me lose my pure heart? Let me reframe that fear for you permanently. The very fact that you are terrified of becoming corrupt is the exact proof that you are ready to be wealthy. The people who are destroyed by money never had that fear. They craved power without responsibility. Your fear is not a lack of faith. Your fear is absolute wisdom. Look at the undeniable pattern of the chosen ones in Scripture. Abraham was not just a spiritual nomad, he was heavily resourced, possessing massive amounts of silver and gold to fund nations. David was not just a worshipper playing a harp in a cave, he became a king who stockpiled billions in wealth to build the temple of God. Solomon did not just ask for wisdom, the Creator trusted him with unimaginable riches because his heart was properly positioned first. Do you see the pattern? The greatest spiritual leaders were not kept in poverty to preserve their holiness. They were given massive earthly resources because poverty is a restriction, but wealth in the hands of a righteous, uncorrupted person is a weapon of mass restoration. God is not giving you this provision so you can buy luxury items to boost your ego. He is funding you because he knows you will use that wealth to heal your bloodline and fund the kingdom. Your fear of money is exactly why God trusts you with the vault. Mentally sever the cord of guilt right now. Mentally declare that you are a sovereign steward, not a slave to paper and coins. Now, I need to issue a severe warning. Because what is coming against you is not random. The moment your frequency shifts and the massive provision starts flowing, the enemy has 3 specific, calculated traps waiting for you. And unless you can name them, you cannot defeat them. Let me show you exactly what they look like. The very first attack the enemy will launch against your new provision is what I call the guilt tax. The moment heaven opens the vault and your financial reality begins to physically shift, someone from your past is going to suddenly reach out. It might be a family member who abandoned you during your lowest season, or a friend who watched you struggle and offered absolutely zero help. Suddenly, they will have a massive crisis, and they will expect you to fund their rescue. The enemy uses the guilt tax because he knows you have a generous heart. He wants you to bleed out your divine provision on parasites who refuse to heal themselves. You must recognize this trap immediately. In your mind right now, I want you to build a massive, impenetrable brick wall between your divine harvest and their toxic manipulation. The wealth God is sending you is for building the kingdom and securing your bloodline. It is not a charity fund for people who betrayed you in the dark. You must learn to say no without offering a single explanation. The second calculated trap is the premature upgrade. This is the intense, burning temptation to immediately spend your new provision on highly visible things just to prove to the people who doubted you that you finally made it. The enemy knows that if he can trigger your ego, you will drain your own vault before it ever has a chance to multiply. He wants you to buy the status symbols to impress people who do not even like you. Do not fall for this. Your counterattack is strategic silence. When the massive overflow hits your account, you do not post about it. You do not upgrade your lifestyle immediately. You stay completely hidden and let the wealth quietly compound in the dark. You prove your maturity to God by acting like you have been wealthy your entire life. The third trap is the imposter whisper. This is the dark, quiet voice that will slither into your mind the moment you see a new comma in your bank account, telling you that this is a mistake. The voice will whisper that you are not smart enough to manage this, that you are going to lose it all by next month, and that you will end up right back where you started. That is the spirit of poverty having a panic attack because it is being evicted from your bloodline. You defeat the imposter whisper by mentally evicting it. You do not argue with it. You mentally declare that you are not lucky, you are chosen, and this provision is your legal inheritance. Let me tell you exactly what happens when you recognize these traps and defeat them. 6 months ago, a chosen one watching this exact channel received their first massive financial breakthrough after years of pure agony. It was a staggering amount of money. Their immediate urge was to tell their entire family, to upgrade their car, to finally show everyone that God had blessed them. But they remembered the rule of strategic silence. They made the brutal decision to tell absolutely no one. They kept driving their old car. They quietly invested the provision and continued to work as if nothing had changed. They passed the premature upgrade test 3 months later because they proved they could keep their mouth shut and manage the small vault. An unexpected connection reached out and offered them a contract that was 10 times larger than the first breakthrough. They are now completely financially sovereign because they passed the stealth test. There is another chosen one who finally understood the frequency warfare we just talked about. For years, they stayed up until 4 in the morning, their brain locked in the beta frequency of pure panic, trying to force a business idea to work while drowning in debt. Once they understood that God only broadcasts on the theta frequency, they stopped panicking. They stopped forcing it. They used the exact audio technology we discussed to recalibrate their brainwaves. A week later, resting in a deep theta state, they received a massive download at 3 in the morning. It was not a complex business plan. It was one simple, profound idea that made zero logical sense at the time. They executed that exact idea, and within 40 days, it generated enough revenue to wipe out 3 years of crushing debt. They did not hustle harder. They simply tuned their biological radio to the frequency of divine intelligence. This is why you must completely shed the identity of a survivor and step into your true identity as a sovereign steward. I want to show you a profound mystery in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. It says, "But remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the power to get wealth." Notice that it does not say God drops cash from the sky. It says He gives you the power to get wealth. The original Hebrew word used for power is koach. Koach does not mean physical strength. It translates to divine capacity, vigor, and the activated power of the mind. God is not just going to hand you a lottery ticket. He is going to give you koach. He is going to activate the dormant, genius capacity of your brain. He is going to give you the mental stamina, the divine strategies, and the exact frequency alignment to generate, manage, and multiply massive wealth. You are no longer a victim begging for crumbs. You are a sovereign steward, equipped with the mental architecture of heaven, chosen one. Prepare your spirit right now. Do not move your physical body. Whether you are driving, sitting at your desk, or lying in bed, I want you to mentally anchor yourself to this exact second. Drop every single distraction in your mind. This is an official sealing ceremony. It is the legal transfer of burden. You are about to be deployed into your destiny as a sovereign steward. In the mighty name of Yeshua, Jesus Christ, the King of Kings, I stand before the courts of heaven right now to acknowledge a divine transition. We declare that this is not an ordinary moment on the internet. This is a marked hour. The spiritual gavel has dropped, and the season of scarcity is officially terminated. Father, you saw them weeping in the car. You saw them checking the prices and putting things back on the shelf so their kids could eat. You saw the quiet dignity they maintained while their heart was completely breaking. You saw them play the strong pillar for everyone else while they were silently bleeding out. They did not quit. They endured the absolute dark, and that faithfulness has qualified them for the massive light they are stepping into right now. So by the authority of the Word and the power of the Spirit, I seal the theta frequency over their mind right now. I bind the spirit of poverty and command it to leave their bloodline forever. I bind the guilt tax. I bind the imposter whisper. I decree that no weapon formed against their incoming harvest will prosper. Every demon dispatched to make them self-sabotage, this blessing is paralyzed right now. You will not touch their mind. You will not touch their accounts. You will not touch their family. I declare that heaven is taking over your entire payroll. Within the next 40 days, unexpected checks, erased debts, and divine ideas are manifesting in your reality. I decree that the generational curse of scarcity is shattered into 1,000,000 pieces. What your grandparents could not access, you will walk in. What your parents could not manifest, you will steward with absolute brilliance. Doors are opening right now that no human logic can explain. Now, God is asking you a direct question, and you must answer it with your spirit. He is asking, will you manage my wealth with integrity? Will you use this provision to build the kingdom and not just your ego? Will you stay as faithful in the extreme wealth as you were in the extreme poverty? If your answer is yes, I want you to scream yes in your mind right now. Let that internal shout echo through the spiritual realm. Say, I am ready in your spirit. Heaven heard that silent roar. Angels witnessed it. You are legally commissioned. Go now, chosen one. You are permanently dismissed from the waiting room of poverty. Step completely into your sovereign inheritance. Walk in it, own it, multiply it. In the mighty, matchless name of Yeshua. Do not say, Amen yet. Sit in this heavy glory for 60 seconds. Let the poverty mindset die right now.